And I want to note that this whole things start to come to you easy really and truly gets to happen when you take that step into having gratitude for what you already have. Which, if you've ever been in a shit situation, might feel difficult, might feel very challenging, and can be, and absolutely is, because you feel like the world is against you and pressing down on you. And like the cliche goes, diamonds are made under pressure, baby. You are that diamond. You gotta come out, shine, show us what is up, that you can go through the roughest and toughest scenarios, but you're gonna come out packing. And not that every superhero, superhuman needs to come from a horrible story. We don't need that. But when you can be stronger than your mind, have this mental resilience, and you can just be so grateful that for whatever you have, whether it's a roof over your head, a little bit of money to have food, enough for you to not starve, for you to be able to care for someone else, for you to be able to have a dying parent or family member, and you're spending a lot of time with them. Like, wow, how amazing that although it sucks the condition that you're spending time with them with, that thing, that hurtful thing has brought you there, has brought you together. Now you get to cherish. Now you get to flip the script. Now you get to see the glory of that opportunity, because that's what this whole life is about. We get to be frustrated and ramble jambled about something that really matters to us. Yet we also get to let the fumes out of the house, air it out, maybe cleanse the space with a little sage or a local plant you like to burn. It smells amazing to you. And come back to your center. Come back to your own beingness and how you can make the best of your situation. And so that is really where the self discipline, self respect, self acceptance, self love, that is radical and unconditional for yourself and for those around you, transforms your life. Because if you are on this search, you're constantly seeking the gratification, the glory, the tastefulness, even within the contrast or the rough edges of life, in the you got hit by a salmon in the head kind of life moments. And if you can find the funny, the humor, the love, the compassion, the bigger story or opportunity that lies in that moment, wow, you are truly a creator of your own life. You are able to take any situation and make it whatever you want, because you're not hounded and pressured by the awful feelings of how horrible it is. We can get so stuck in that. And then we have all these other things to say. So, those are going to help set you up if you're going to start any kind of habit that is long lasting and transformational. And of course, I know I don't have to say this, but I sure know you are going to choose habits that you want to bring into your life and want to incorporate into your day. Not because the Instagram influencer told you to, or the TikTok content creators made it look so fucking fabulous to do what they're doing in a day. Not because of your parents or your teachers or your boss or anyone around you. Anyone outside of you, maybe except your dog. We give that, dogs, they can impact us. But anyone outside of you, they do not get a say on your life. And that is that. Oh, are they with you at all waking hours of the day like you are with you? I think not. And if they are, there's something going on. And maybe you need a little space. And then if you got that space, you could see, wow, this is who I am. I am actually this way, not that. Interesting. So, I don't think I need to say that, but your habits are your standards, and no one can set the standard for you but you. They'll help you define what you say yes to, what you say no to, and especially when you're given the opportunity to say yes or no, and you listen to what your heart and what your gut wants. Because it's your time. Your time is so valuable and it is limited in this body because you never know when you are going to croak, when you're just going to fall over, when your soul is going to leave. All right, next, we're going to go back up, see what we did, see how we did, and maybe there'll be more to strive for moving forward. And maybe that'll be that little kick in the booty you need to say, hey, I do deserve this. This habit is going to impact me in a really marvelous way. As behavioral scientist Katie Milkman of the University of Pennsylvania says, habits are like shortcuts. There are things we can do quickly and without thinking because we've done them so often, they've become automatic. And for example, this could be the habit of coming into a runner, into some gym goer, into someone who's very dedicated to their nutrition, to their art, to whatever it is. But it is so true. Just like driving the car, I'm sure that you can get in your car and you have moments where you get where you're going and you have no recollection of what even happened because you disconnected from the present moment because you weren't focused on how to do the thing because you are so attuned and you understand it so well and you've done it so many times. You can go a little mindless. You can put less brain power on driving, which is a little scary to say, and scary that that happens to us, me included, because we're on the road with other drivers. And wow, who else is experiencing that at the same time we are? It can be a little crazy, but that is the best example for you to understand it if you are someone who can drive. And so, for example, if you wanted to become a runner, what would make you a runner? Well, I'm sure you would start doing your research or you would jump straight into it and you would make time for running. You would enjoy the running and you would stop any thoughts that tell you otherwise. Or you would say, hey, it's okay if I'm thinking this because I know that this is going to lead me to my goal of X, Y, and Z, or my outcome of X, Y, and Z, or this is my new standard. And my new standard is going to lead me to my destiny of who I'm becoming into. And so it's okay that it feels a little gunky right now. I know it's going to feel gunky right now, but I'm going to keep going. You're probably going to eat in a certain way so that you're fueled for your runs and that you recover properly after your run. You might go to bed earlier, wake up earlier, so that you can either run in the morning before you go to your job, run at night with a group of friends. You probably might even begin reading some magazines, some books, some history on running stories. Who are the greatest runners of all times? Maybe about races you want to participate in, maybe some groups that you want to start running with. Maybe you start your own group with the friends that you want to run with. Perhaps you get some special running shoes. Needless to say, you are going to change your identity simply by diving headfirst into the research and then becoming so intertwined with this research that it becomes who you are. And now that is how the transformation of how people see you will also happen. And honestly, this can happen overnight. Like, of course, it's not going to be stuck in your bones the first day, first night, first week. But if you make that choice and you make the moment so dramatic, like, ooh, so dramatic. And an example would be you go to the doctor, you're a mom or a dad, you got two little kiddos, and one's 8, one's 3. You got one in the oven, one on the way. And doctor, you're sitting in the room by yourself. Doctor says, do I gotta Mr. Jakowski in here. And you're like, what? I'm the only one here. That me. And he looks you up and down. He's, oh God, you need to come here now. And you're gonna start panicking a little bit, like, oh, like what's so important? And perhaps you start to think, well, what's on this report? What's my results looking like? If this doctor asks, oh, like, you got kids? You got whatever? And you know, yeah, I got this old, one on the way. Well, I'm sorry to tell you, but because of your results, you're not going to make it to your little girl's wedding. That's probably going to rattle your bones. That's probably going to make you jolt. And you're probably going to start fuming on the inside out because you've been probed and probbed, and you are now being tested against things that you love more than anything in the world, more than yourself, maybe, probably. And so, what this doctor is doing is making this a dramatic moment in your life so that it sticks, that you have a choice. Because honestly, why everyone's so gun ho about a New Year's resolution is because the timing. And that's one of the most key components of having a standard or a habit stick and having it become your lifestyle or an identity you take on. Because if it's not dramatic, if it's not going to really impact your life, if there's no big why you're doing this in the first place, you're most likely gonna give up because it's like, oh, well, this isn't changing. Like, there's no direction, there's no clarity. When it's unclear of where you're going because of this thing, what the fuck are you even doing it for? It's not gonna matter. It's not gonna matter. You're gonna drop it and say, oh, I gotta put my attention on this thing instead. No, that's more important. No, I get to prioritize that. So make it a dramatic moment for you and understand what outside of yourself it is affecting. Because we'll let ourselves down all day, which is really sad because that's really hindering our self trust. But we are more likely to people please, make others happy, to show up for other people when there are higher stakes. When we're a provider and we know that we need to provide for more than ourselves, we're going to step up to the plate. And so that's a little bit of the psychology behind that. It's timing. People love having a clear time. That's very important. Maybe other people are doing it. Maybe you go to the doctor, you have one of those moments, whatever it is. That's going to make it stick. So, yes, it can happen overnight. But if you have something really important to attach to this, to your why, you'll have little to no debating or thinking around doing it. It's just going to be automatic. Yes, I do this. I wake up, brush my teeth, do this. And now we're going to dive deeper into the psychology around that and how to stick to habits that are transformative. So, first and foremost, why do we want to stay on task with one thing at a time? And how is this going to help our habits, our standards stick? According to neuropsychologist Cynthia Kubu, PhD, studies show that when our brain is constantly switching gears to bounce back and forth between tasks, especially when those tasks are complex and require our active attention, we become less efficient and more likely to make a mistake. Unless you are a part of the 2.5% of the population that has the gift of multitasking, we are not doing ourselves any justice. And the more we multitask, the less we actually accomplish because we slowly lose our ability to focus enough to learn, says Dr. Kubu. So scary. And that's a part of having a focus practice, such as sitting in stillness, meditation, walking meditation, doing the dishes meditation, a dancing practice, a yoga practice, but something where you are getting inside of your body, stilling the mind, and connecting with a voluntary system like breathing. And then instead of just letting it happen for you, taking control of it, focusing on it, giving yourself the mental decompression you very well deserve, and to practice your focus game. And if we're constantly attempting to multitask and we're not practicing that tune out of the rest of the world, our learning process is just going to get worse and worse. And another really interesting part about this is sleep. I just want to really quickly bring you this little tidbit. Our emotions from the day are processed when we go to bed at night. And if we are not getting the adequate 8 hours of sleep a night, we are not fully processing the emotions we experience during the day. Which, if you've ever had a breakup and you maybe got 2 or 3 hours of sleep because you were having such a bad time the night before, you wake up feeling pretty crummy. A large part of that is the brain not being able to process what happened completely. So, very interesting. So, needless to say, the more time you spend on action that is focused and requires a little effort to think about doing, instead of sporadically deciding, messily using your brain power, jumping back and forth, not truly having any structure to how you're moving through your tasks, it'll lead to more success because it's routine and it's zoom, one thing done, one thing done, zoom, one thing done. And I even encourage you to set a timer to start practicing. Now, as we move forward, I'm going to give a couple of guidelines to habit stacking and what it is. So, habit stacking is a really seamless way that I've been utilizing to add in new habits. And it involves triggers, time, setting up your area, and we'll get into the nitty gritty of all of those. But this will really help you follow through when it comes to building up your habits for the long game. As I said, January, February, March, we are setting ourselves up for success. We're not trying to haul ass forward with momentum. We're simply refining, revisiting, integrating, healing, and acknowledging, whoa, these were my old habits, these were my old ways, these are not necessarily serving me at this point in time. So, how and what can I do? Before I continue on, I do want to note this was something that has worked for me. And this method may not work for you. So I highly suggest that you take inventory after implementing this solidly, consistently, with your full effort. 60, 90 days. Oh my God, 60 or 90 days? That's crazy. Honey, sit down. You got 365 days of the year. You thought that you were going to do your New Year's resolution every single day, but you're going to freak about 60 to 90 days of doing something in a row? Think about that. So, seriously, give yourself the chance. Stumble, get back on the horse, adjust your saddle, grab the reins, and ride your little pony into the sunset as many times as you need to feel like it is becoming automatic. That is the rhythm of life. We fuel it to keep flowing. So, when we are habit stacking, the first step is to get clear on what you want to add to your day. Step 2 is to design your habit stack. Step 3 is to make the least appealing habit first so that you accomplish it. The fourth is to design your space to support these new habits you're implementing. And the fifth is to reward yourself for accomplishing a new habit stack and rewarding yourself, along the way of this stack. So I want to go into all that in greater detail. So, first and foremost, get clear on what you want to add to your day. And I say add because when you focus on adding, you'll be forced to cut out activities you no longer have time for, i.e., if you are used to scrolling on your phone after you wake up, like you're in bed and you just grab your phone and you're going at it. Instead, you're going to stop yourself, block your hand from the phone. The phone is in the other room, whatever you need to do, and you grab your book and you read that book for 2 minutes. And that is a great example of how you can add to your day because you're not going to have time for both. You have to pick one or the other. And if you're having a hard time deciding what you want to add to your day, just think about what would you regret missing out on more? Would you regret missing out on scrolling and comparing and feeling less than or unworthy or like you're not X, Y, and Z, or just like not even engaging with your human experience? Or would you regret not reading the book, learning something new if it's a nonfiction, or really like soothing your soul with a story that is delicately written or very arousing or wakes you up to some creative ideas in your body? Like you get to pick which one is which. So that was a simple example. Number two is you're going to design your habit stack. So the biggest keys are you're going to make yourself flexible. Yes, if you want to do this in the AM, and that is the best time for you to do it, but maybe there's 1 or 2 days where you have things go differently than what you expected. It's okay for you to be flexible in the sense of you can do it at nighttime, right? So make it adaptable, but do have a structure for you to begin it. And then you're going to start by committing to your habits for only 2 minutes at a time. So if you are putting on your running, like you're going to choose running as your thing. I'm using very basic examples so that I can stay on track here. If you choose running, you're going to put your clothes on, put your shoes on, go out the door. This your 2 minute timer is already started. And if you're in the stretch mode, the warm-up mode, and your timer goes off, and you're like, awesome, I don't want to run today. You're done. Celebrate that you committed to the 2 minutes. That was all you needed to do. But, and more importantly, if you're in that warm up and that 2 minutes goes off and you're like, oh, I'm going to go for this run, I feel super great. That is amazing. You are going above and beyond the expectation of the standard for the first 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks. And you get to add in these little time increments as you go. But I highly suggest you start at 2 minutes. And then maybe after 2 weeks, you go to 4 minutes. After 4 weeks, you go to 8 minutes, 10 minutes. And you keep adding on this time because you'll eventually see that it's like once you get started and once you're actually going, you're good to go. The motivation is there. The effort becomes the motivation instead of getting lost in the sauce of, oh my God, I have to do this thing and it's blah, blah, blah. So start there, start small. We do not need to start huge. I mean, if you were never a runner, and you're trying to run for an hour every day just out of nowhere, that's going to drain you. That's the hustle mode that is going to burn you out. And you're going to probably be really sore and in pain. And you're not even going to be able to run. And then you're going to feel bad. And then you're going to feel guilty and shameful. And it's going to be a sad time. So just go slow. You're only comparing yourself against who you were before you started this passion project, this habit, this standard. So that is what you're also going to keep track of is like when you started, who you were before then, and the different milestones you make. And then another part of this designing your habit stack, so setting the time, being flexible with it, starting with only 2 minutes, being aware of the habits you want to add in slash let go of and what you are replacing it with, i.e., I am quitting drinking. So instead of having alcohol, I'm going to have a kombucha or a tea or a lemonade so that you're not just completely cutting yourself off from the activity of drinking because drinking doesn't just have to be alcohol. It can be anything else that's non-alcoholic. And that's a much easier way to wean yourself off of something you want to stop doing, like cigarette smoking or vaping, any of that. So instead of doing vaping or smoking, you could say, I'm going to chew gum. I'm going to give myself a little massage. I am going to have a little piece of chocolate. Like make it good for you. Like cigarette smoking is pretty bad. So if you went to eating a piece of chocolate, like there's some celebration there. I'm a big chocolate fan. I would do that. And then you're going to have a done list and a little way that you can keep track of how you're growing over this increment of time, because it is very beneficial to break it down and keep track over a month, the second month, the third month, so forth and so on. And at the end of every day, you want to write down everything you did to get yourself closer to that so that you can celebrate and feel very accomplished. And so, an example of a habit stack is you wake up, you brush your teeth. Well, the brushing your teeth is your first trigger, because then after you brush your teeth, you're going to go habit one. And then after habit one, maybe you brew that cup of coffee. Reward, good job, you did it. And that could be one habit stack right there. If you wanted to add more habits in, which is more effective when you can stack them in a row. So you wake up, brush your teeth, you have habit number one. Reward is your coffee. After you drink your coffee, habit number two, reward yourself with breakfast or with affirmations or with listening to your favorite song or having a dance party, whatever you want to reward yourself with. And then that could be it. Like, boom, you did it. So it can be however long or short you wish it to be. I suggest step number three, you make the least appealing habit first. So if you want to run and you're like, man, this is going to be the toughest one for me to get into, make that number one. And number four is going to help us a lot with this, because you're going to design your space to set you up for success for these habits, for these standards. I think standards is a lot better way to look at this. That was something I took away from listening to Ed Millett, a fantastic speaker that I've discovered recently. Very beautiful story on his end. But designing your space means that you're going to lay your clothes out for running the night before. You're going to have your pre-run meal made. If you're eating something before, you're going to have your shoes right next to the door so that you are the most ready that you can be. That's going to make it as simple and seamless as possible, because you're not thinking, oh, what am I going to wear? Take 10 minutes just to pick out an outfit. Come on, we got things to do, miles to run, or maybe not even miles, half a mile, some meters. It all is good in the hood. So that's what it means by making your least habit first, standard first, designing your space. And a big tip on that designing your space is you will want to be very careful about where and how you design your space. So if you have your couch as the chill zone and you know this as the chill zone, please do not make this any harder on yourself and try to make it a work zone. Or if the living room is the chill space and you're trying to do home workouts in that same space, you're going to feel a lot more resistance pop up, because you're used to it being a relaxing place, not a workout, stressful place, because working out is stress on the body. And so maybe if you have a different room in the house, do that. Or if you can redesign your space very quickly, that can help very much. So, an example, when I was doing my 25 Days of Mindful Movement series, which is on YouTube over the holidays, we only have one other room than our bedroom in the place that we're renting from. And so I got creative and I would push furniture out of the way. I would rearrange the room, and I knew exactly which tools I needed, how I was going to set the camera, what I needed for the practice, how I was going to record with my camera, what I needed to say. I had the basics of this outline already planned out. And so it made it very easy for me to set up in 5 minutes, get going, record everything, then edit, and then post, and then schedule it and have it all be seamless. And so you really get into your rhythm, but you have to make it so it makes sense for you. So maybe if you rearrange your furniture, that will work for you. But if you have another room, great. Whatever you need. And then the fifth and most important part is rewarding yourself for accomplishing your habit stack, for your standard. Because for every new habit you're adding in, you will really want to pair it with a reward so that you're telling your brain, yay, this is a good thing. We want to keep coming back to this. This is the most basic act of dopamine, which is a chemical within the brain that zoom comes out pleasure, 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 ecstasy, bliss. This is what we love. Yes, validation. Ooh. And it's being released to let you know that, yes, we're embedding this into your new identity to keep you moving forward to where you want to go to the standard. And it makes it tells you your body, your hormones, your chemistry, this is worth it. This is desirable. Without a reward, it'll take a deeper amount of discipline to show up for whatever your habit is, whatever that standard is. Which, I mean, honestly, your reward can be simply saying, man, I'm doing this for my kid. I'm doing this for my husband. I'm doing this for my wife. I'm doing this for my pet. I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this for that young girl who never believed in herself, that young man who always felt afraid to speak his mind and ask for what he wanted. And it's a really beautiful transformation. A few different examples are if you are a podcast audiobook junkie and you want to start going to the gym, you could start restricting yourself from listening to podcasts, YouTube videos, audiobooks until you're at the gym. That's the only place you can listen to podcasts. So you're going to be way more amped to go to the gym because you get a double whammy of not only feeling good in your body, but listening to that sweet, sweet nectar of J.K. Rowling repeating Harry Potter book 3 for the 5th time. Another example is your habit is to cook more at home versus eat out. And your reward could be making dinner for a friend or a coworker or bringing your leftovers to the homeless shelter. And maybe if you want to go even bigger than that, you invite them over for dinner. You ask them if you can cook for them. Yes, you ask them if you can cook for them. So, having someone to eat your meals and compliment you and tell you how delicious it is can be an amazingly satisfying way to validate how great of a cook you actually are and that you should keep cooking at home, save that money, put your money towards a savings, which could also be a whole nother reward in itself. Every time you cook at home, you put $5 into your vacation account, into your trip to Hawaii account, whatever it is. I mean, there's just so many fun ways you can reward yourself depending on who you are, what you like, what your goals are, who you want to become. I mean, maybe it's towards those running shoes, whatever. I could go on for days. So, that is the habit stack. Please send me a message, a DM on Instagram at Isabelle Wellman if you want more clarification, or if you want to go over your habit stack together, or if you just want to share. I would love to hear your habit stack. And last but not least, I do want to add in this tidbit of how adding and finding our new standard, our moral compass, transforming, choosing a new identity can be challenging because feeling to heal isn't always the cure all for everyone. Like, no, it's just not. It's not for me. I know that. Some things I can work through by myself. I can feel them, accept them, all that. But if there's not the understanding of safety, it's going to be tough. Safety is a large proponent to showing up for yourself and to keeping your promises to yourself and to exploring the deeper depths of yourself and evolution, like going through evolution as a being. So, I personally want to show up and inspire and assist you in your process in feeling good by safely moving through your past experiences So you may re-experience your moments, the past moments, how you wish they would have gone, how you wish you could have experienced them, even if you weren't sure that's what you wanted back then. Because you can unlock all of this now as a young adult, an adult, so that you can move on from those locked in old stories that keep you locked in your emotions. Because memories always have emotions assigned to them. Think about your first kiss. What do you feel? Think about the first time you ever broke a bone. What do you associate it with? What do you feel? Think about the first time you ever played an instrument. What do you feel? Think about the first time you ever were rejected. If you were ever complimented, what you were given your most prideful award about. Like, what is associated with all of those memories? There is an emotion, energy in motion, energy in motion. When we don't move our body, we get stale and crusty. We feel really bad, and it is really yucky. That was so fun. I just made that up. So, suck my toe. You just got out of a relationship and you're heartbroken. Every time you think of that person, the same feelings related to heartbreak will follow. The more the memories come, the more the feelings flow, and the longer your mind is stuck in the thought loop pattern of that memory, of that emotion, the deeper it's going to embed itself into your body. Repetition is key, but not in this instance, but that is usually how it goes. So, because I've acknowledged feeling is not always healing, the answer is to feel safe. And this might require asking someone to assist you, such as a coach, a therapist, a loved one, someone you feel very safe with, someone you can open yourself up to and not feel embarrassed or judged by, because that is so deeply important. And you have to know what kind of person you are. So, for example, I'm a deeply kinesthetic person, aka I feel my body. I have to touch things. I'm physical. That's how I learn. That's how I go through information best and through visual cues. But, and I know that I can only do so much by myself. So, although I've done a lot of inner child, mother, father healing, I know that instead of pushing myself into a New Year resolution idealism that is going to bypass healing more that I have stuck there that I know about, I need to ask for assistance. So I personally have a coach who helps me. And this work is not as glorious or aesthetic or optimistic or beautiful in the moment. Yet, after you surpass a certain point, and the more safety you feel, and the more love and compassion and understanding that you're not alone, that you are supported, the processes are beautiful and they truly allow you to, as an adult, choose to rewire your brain so that you are now operating in a new nervous system completely, in my experience. And it's being able to go in, acknowledge, well, what was I missing there? For me, it's, for example, an archetype of the sister. I have a sister, but I never felt super close. Working on that as adults, but it was always that 5 year difference caddy sister relationship with like a couple of yummy moments in between that I don't honestly remember, and I wish I did. I was just so young. And so, as I grew up, I felt very alone, but I really wanted my mom and my sister to guide me. And so there's different processes in which this archetype came in during a process I worked through with my coach, that we were able to see, like, wow, all I wanted was for them to say this, for me to feel that, for me to graduate and have this happen, for me to feel this in my young adult body, for me to know that this feeling of groundedness, bravery, strength, resilience, smooth, strong, trust, guiding being, it is me, yet it's also me in these different avenues of life. sexual, business, friendship, everywhere else. And so it's truly a very brave undertaking, and re-experiencing that, in which is tormenting your heart, your mind, and your soul. And you ultimately are clearing the old energies, the old pathways, the old stores in which you unconsciously and subconsciously live by. And we all have them. It's not just you, it's everyone we know, love, desire, admire, aspire to be, distrust, all the things. So, when you set a new standard for yourself, you embrace the potential on the other side. The conscious choice in which you must make is the one of your dedication and your discipline, and seeing what's on the other side, understanding why you're doing what you're doing, and using a little reverse psychology on yourself, doing research, learning, doing things you don't normally do. Because if you're waking up, going through the same motions every single day, how can you expect that $1 million is going to fall in your lap? It's not. I have tried. It doesn't work. So take it from one of the many who have done that and who are tired of waiting and who are doing things about it for themselves in their own life to have the experiences you want to have. It's all a matter of you with you, accepting you, loving you, being on this ride with you. So that is using standard habits to transform your life, understanding that harnessing a focus practice will help you understand how to stay focused for longer, how to continue to learn, continue to process each and every day. And that this might feel difficult because there's emotions lodged in crevices of your body that you are dying to work through. And that it's only up to you and you saying, hey, I'm ready. And even if I'm not ready, I want to start having progress. I just want to know what one session could be like, or what one attempt at this could be like. So go through the questions that I gave you, share this with me. I love to hear from y'all about how these tools, this work, these words help you, assist you in remolding, reshaping, and transforming your life. And I am so honored that you listen to the podcast. So I love you, and I will see you next time.